All right, everyone. So now we have almost completed all the global reducer, root saga, and also the store part. So now basically what we have to do next, on click of this particular thing, we are already getting the data back in our saga. So we have to call the API, and once we'll get the response from the API that whether it is successful or not, we have to do certain functionality. And the functionality we want to do basically, so on click of that, it will call the API, it will check, and if this is successful, it will reset this particular form and it will go to this nodes list component to check all the list we have already created. And for that we have to do some code refactoring. So first thing is that we will be creating some accent types. So here I'll change the naming so it will be much more convenient. So the first thing will be like this will be init get nodes value. All right, and the second one I'll copy this one, and then we have to create another one, and this will be like init, or let's give this one as, for example, init save nodes value. I think this will be much more convenient, and this one will be, for example, save nodes value successful. And the last thing what you have to take if there is any failure, so this will be basically, sorry, we have to do it here. So this will be basically if this is failed or not. So I will also suggest you to create like this only. So for example, you are calling an API, you can take this many actions. So for example, the first one will be the initialization, the second one will be whether your API is getting successful or not, and the third one will be the API is getting failed or not. And there is another additional parameter you can take, for example, the fetching. That means till the data is getting loaded, you want to show some fetching or loader. So for that also you can take another additional action type, and we will be doing this one while working with this nodes list component. But for this one we actually don't need that much. So now I'll just copy this and let's paste here. So that's it. Now this will give you some error because name we have already changed. So if I just go back, you'll see that this error we are getting. So now what we have to do, we have to first go to our actions. So because there is 3 action types, so we have to create 3 actions. So the first one will be init save nodes value. This will be the first one. Then let's copy this and let's paste it here. So this will be init save nodes value successful. All right, and the third one will be init save nodes value failed. And for this one we also have to change this type. So this will be init save nodes value, and we can just remove this part, and let's remove this console also. Now here basically we have to take the save nodes value successful, and this will be save nodes value failed. Now for this one obviously we will be getting some particular flag, that means whether that particular API is getting called successful or not. So for example, I'll take some flag here. So let's take this one as success, and this one as, for example, failed. That's it. So that's all about our actions. Now let's go to reducer. Now we also have to change this one. So this one first we'll take this one as success will be false, and then we'll take another failed will be false. Oh, I think this will be false, and then this will be failed, and this will also be false for now. Now the first thing what we have to do, if the save nodes value is successful, so what we want to do, we want to return the state, and this success will be, now you will see that in this particular successful we are passing this success property. So here we are accessing this action, so this will be your action dot success. I hope you are getting this one. So because what we are doing, we are just taking this state and we are updating from what we are getting back from the action. So you'll see that for this particular action we are passing this success property. So here to update this one we are taking action dot success. All right, now I'll just copy this and let's paste it here. So this will be now save nodes value failed, and for failed what we have to do, we have to pass this failed property. All right, so this will be action dot failed and this will be failed. All right, so this is about the reducer. Now let's go to the saga. So now for saga we have to change this one to init because we have already changed. So this will be init save nodes value, and this will be like, for example, save nodes saga, and we have to change this one, and that's it. Now let's check whether everything working or not. And the last thing, I think we have to change this one in index. So this will be now init save nodes value, and we can remove this particular part, and I think that's it. Now let's save this and let's check whether we are getting that back or not. So I'll just go to inspect and let's go to console. I'll give here first to do, sorry, this will be note. I'm just every time mistaking with to do with note. So now you'll see that we are getting the data in our saga. So this is the node value, this is the first node, and this is the type, and everything is working. All right, now basically we have to work on the API call, and for that we have to go to this saga. And first thing is that we will be import Axios from Axios. All right, and if you don't have that much idea on Axios, you can just go and check, because it will give you some properties. For example, if you are getting some value, it will give you a get property, post method, get method, put method, delete method. So because we are currently saving data to database, so this will be a post method. So this will be the first step. And the next step, basically what you have to do, you have to here do the certain functionality, because I already told you this saga is basically useful to API call and get response back from API. All right, so the first thing what you have to do, will create some header params. So I'll just create here header params, because this is a post method. So I'll just do here content type, this will be application slash JSON. So this will be the first step. And now what we have to do, you'll see that we are getting the data back. So this is the node value we are getting, but we have to create some unique ID for this particular node. So let's create that. So I'll just do here const create final nodes data. And what this will be, basically this will be, I'll give one name property. So this name property will be basically accent dot what we are getting. I'll see once we are getting note value, so we'll give here accent dot note value. And the second thing is that we'll create an ID, and for ID we'll use this JavaScript math method. So this will be math dot floor, then math dot random. And what we want to do, we want to just multiply this one by 100, and I hope you'll know this one. All right, so now into 100. And floor, what it will do, you'll see that this will return the greatest integer, all right, in a numeric argument. So this we have created. Now let's log and let's see what we are getting. So this will be, sorry, create final nodes data. If I just save this and let's create here, so this will be first node. And once I'll hit add, you'll see that now it's getting name and the ID is getting generated unique. That's fine. Now next what you have to do, you have to call the API, and to call API every time you should use this try catch block, and I hope you already know this one. So this will be try, and in this try block what you want to do, you want to call your API. How you can call that, I hope I already told you that this is the method you have to import from the Redux saga. So this will be call that you can import. You see that this is the method. And next thing what you have to import, put. So whatever value you will be getting from the API, you have to put that value into that action, so that you will get that one in your reducer. Now here what we will be doing, this will be const response, and this will be yield. So don't forget to take this method, you have to take this, and this will be call. All right, so this is the method, and here basically it will take certain parameters and it will return a promise as a result. You can see that. And the method you have to take, this will be axios dot, and once you'll give dot, you'll see that you'll get all the methods basically, like get, head, create, everything. And for now we will be using post. All right, and next what you have to do, you have to pass the URL. All right, so for URL, I think you remember we already created that particular Google Firebase project. So you just have to copy your base URL here and you just have to paste it. So let's do that. So let me just go back, and you can see that we have already this API URL, and you just to copy this. And here what we can do, basically we can create one node, and this I'll give this one as nodes list, and we'll add this. So now what you have to do, you just have to copy this. So this will be your URL, and what you have to do, because you have to target that particular node that you have created. So this will be nodes list, and then don't forget to with JSON. So this is mandatory, and this is a Firebase requirement. So now you have to create what you are targeting. You are basically targeting this particular base URL with this node list, but you have to give this JSON after that. All right, and now next what you have to do, basically you have to pass that create data. So whatever data you have created, so you just have to post it. So this will be comma create final data, and at the end what you have to pass headers. So in the headers you can see that this is the property. So in the headers what you have passed, you already created the header param, right? And that's it. So now here basically what you are doing, you are calling access.post, you are targeting this URL, and based on that you are passing this node data and the headers. So that's all about this one, and don't forget to take catch because that is mandatory or else you'll get error. See, so now this will be catch and it will catch your error. All right, and here we want to check our errors, if any. That's it. Now let's save this and let's log here what we are getting in the response. Let's go back and I'll just create our first node and I'll click here add node, and let's go to network, and you'll see that now we are already calling the API and we are getting 300 back. And let's see what we are getting in the response. So we're getting our name that is getting generated, and this is the key. And if I just go to here, and you'll see that now in this node list we already created one particular object and with the name and the ID. You can see that this is basically how it will work. So for example, if I just click here create another one, so for example second node, and I'll click add node, it will call the API, and based on that it will give you another key, and here it will be automatically created. You can see that. So this is the advantage of using real-time database. So now we are getting the second node, and that's all about this particular functionality. So now at the end what we have to do, basically we have to check whether this is successful or not, and this is successful. You can see that we are getting 200 result back, and if this is successful we have to check and we have to make this form reset. But how we can basically do that? So to do that, what you have to do here, you have to check here if response dot status is equal to 200, then what we want to do, we'll take this yield, and then I already told you we'll use this put, and then what you have to do, we have already created one action for successful. See, this is the successful action you have created. So we have to call this init save successful, that means the API is successful, and here we will just pass as for example true. What it will do, this value we will be receiving here, I'll again explain you. So now we'll be getting true as success, and once we'll get success true, and what it will do, it will go to reducer and it will make this success as true. You got it? So now this is basically how it will work. And if there is any error, what we want to do, so this will be error. So we want to do here yield put, and then we'll take init save nodes failed, and this will be true. That means there is error, so that means based on that it will just go to that failed action, and based on that it will do certain functionality. All right, so this is basically how you can call your API inside your Saga. So let's recap everything once. So what we have done, basically we have created these header params. Based on that we have created the form data, and here basically we have to use this call method that Redux Saga will provide, and based on that we have used access.post method, because this is a post method. We targeted the URL and we pass the API, the form data and the headers, and based on that it is now getting saved in our database and we are getting the result back. Now it will call this particular action, it will trigger this action here, and based on that we will be getting back the data. So for example, if I just log here action, we'll see that what we are getting. So let's save this, and let's save this as Saga also. So now once I'll click here, for example third node added, and let's go to console, and if I click here add node, and you'll see that we are getting back in our reducer that success is true. That means the API is now successful. That means what we can do, we can just reset this form. Now in the next video what we will be doing, from this reducer we have to get the data back to our component, and I think we already discussed how we can basically do that using that use selector hook, and that we will be doing this one in the next video. Let's do that.